Hey, good afternoon, Lee.
Hey, John, how are you?
Doing wonderful. Ready to get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to first thank everybody for taking their time out of their day and hopping on here. Name is Lee Pratt. I'm our account exec here at Prochant. John, you want to introduce yourself real quick as well?
Yeah, I still see we got people coming in. I just want to say hi and thanks to everybody for spending, the next 30 minutes or so with us. My name's John Love. I'm Vice President of Pharmacy Services here at Prochant. And so been in the infusion space, both home infusion, specialty infusion, ambulatory infusion center, especially pharmacy for longer than I'm going to tell you good people online, but quite a while.
Awesome. Sounds good. Give it another 30 seconds here and then we'll get going. Awesome. I think we got to get going here. Like John said, I want to thank everybody for joining. Today, John and I will be going over the 5 essential KPIs every infusion pharmacy must track for revenue cycle management success. Want to give a quick little background here on Prochant. We're the largest revenue cycle management partner in the country with over 24 years of experience in pharmacy. We were founded in 1999 with global headquarters being in Charlotte, North Carolina. Right now, we have over 2,700 employees and looking to hit that 5,000 employee mark by 2027. John, we've been kind of talking about why not all metrics are good metrics. Can you kind of walk that down a little bit for us?
Yeah, welcome to everybody. I see people still flooding in, and so see some familiar faces and also some others. So I just want to welcome you guys. And um, we need to understand when we're thinking about infusion, especially infusion, that not all metrics are good metrics. Okay, and so and really a second part of that would be that numbers aren't metrics, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. But many of you on here are either running your own rev cycle or you have a team that's running rev cycle, but you're most likely here because you're looking for information the same way everybody else is. Hey, I need to know how to get better at revenue cycle. And so the first thing I want to tell you is what not to do. That's kind of a common teaching experience, right? In order to do something, we need to know what not to do first. The activity-driven metrics don't allow for what infusion pharmacies need to ensure that they have effective revenue cycle operations. Okay, so what do I mean by activity-driven metrics? Okay, so we're all gonna go to church for a second and kind of stack hands here. Numbers are not metrics. Okay. Many of you are dealing with, or maybe you're running your own RCM, and your folks are saying, look how many claims that we built. Look how many AR claims that we touched. We don't have any timely filing. That's what we call the volume trap. That's where somebody comes and they show you a report of all the things that we did. So therefore, we're great, right? But we're not great because in the end, at Prochant, we always talk about we have to keep the main thing the main thing. And what is the main thing? What is king? Cash is king. It's always been king. We all grew up and we heard cash is king, cash is king. Well, guess what? Cash is still king. So we could have all of the claims that were billed and look how many AR we touch, and we don't have any timely filing. And guess what we don't have? Cash in our bank account. Okay, that's a volume trap. Okay, so what if all the bills were done, all the claims were billed incorrectly? What if we aren't adequately following up? What if we don't understand what our AR is and we're not appealing the right things? Therefore, we're not. I mean, like we could deliver all of this saying, look at what all the great work I did. Do we have a way to look at a metric to understand that, Lee?
Yeah, so if numbers aren't metrics, what is a metric, John?
Yeah, so I mean, great question. So a metric, here's your definition, right? It's a measure of quantitative assessment commonly used for comparing and tracking performance or production. So a metric isn't a number. A metric always shows you something that's underneath, and it should be specific, positive or negative operation All right. So, hey, I did $12 million in business last year. So that's a number. So what? What did I do the year before? If it was 14, then all of a sudden I'm like, we did $12 million. Is anybody paying attention that we're down 28%? And so that's a metric. Now, here's the tip here. A metric should not tell you that something's wrong, but specifically what is wrong. The fact that we are down 28% of revenue year over year tells me something dramatically different has done that we have to change. So again, I'm going to say it again. Underneath of each metric should be a specific positive or negative operation measurement. It should not just tell you something's wrong. Everybody can do that. What specifically is wrong, Lee?
Thank you for that, John. So today we're presenting on the 5 KPIs every infusion pharmacy should track. Number 1 is cash to net revenue percentage. John, can you walk that down for us?
Yeah, let me first say that you should track more than 5 KPIs, but I don't want to keep you here for 2 hours. And these are the 5 most important. I think we said essential, right? So essential, right?
Yeah.
So I would track 10 to 12 KPIs. If you were to say, hey, John, I'm going to be at NHI, I'm going to be at NICA, we're going to sit at the bar, I need 12, I can give you that, right? But these are the 5 that are core, right? This is the foundation of your home. Okay, some of you, and we see it all the time, right? Every day, Lee and I are on calls with home infusion, specialty infusion, AICs. We don't understand. We don't understand. And it's, we keep changing our roof and the roof keeps sliding. It's your foundation is wrong. Stop fixing your roof. Your foundation is wrong. That's what we're trying to do today. So we're going to start with cash to net revenue percentage, Lee. So that's where we take our total cash posted over a time period, closed time period. We divide that by our total expected revenue over time period. Very simple. So let's just play a scenario, right? Today is January 31st, which is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Tomorrow's February. But I'm going to look at last year, last quarter. Okay, everybody on this call, I see all the lists, all the people. All of you have last quarter of 2023, right? The book has been closed. It's in. We've actually had 31 more days to work all the dispensing dollars that were associated with that. So now I'm going to go back and say, okay, so what's my total cash posted over time? That's what it's going to be, Lee. So 95% is our infusion standard divided by the total revenue. So, that would mean that, hey, we dispensed $1 million worth of business in Q4. $1 million. It was our expected revenue. And we have collected on that very same amount of dollars, $950,000. That means I have a 95% cash to net revenue percentage, and that is elite pharmacy standard. But the average national is 83 to 86. 83 to 86 is what people are leaving on the table. 12, 13, 14% of their dollars. And they're staying with your payers. And I'll just tell you what that is for your payers. That's their profit margin. That's what they want. The payers are trying to not pay you. So you've got to, at the very start, the very first thing I'm doing is I need to know what over a time period I can look and I can slice my pharmacy and go, what's my cash to net revenue percentage? How much of the money was I owed? Did I actually get paid?
Thanks for sharing that, John. I'm going to kind of continue here. The next, second essential KPI infusion pharmacies should be tracking 90 plus AR percentage. What is that?
Yeah. So when your AR, when a dollar, anything, a dollar of your accounts receivable turns 91 days old, it gets 3 times more hard to collect. So why is that? I want you to imagine here. So I want you to imagine a factory floor. You've got a man or a woman here who has a job to do, make a widget, put on, the things that happen to, at the end result, have a product. Things are coming down, all right? So everything that's done wrong will then get pulled back to that person. It was billed wrong. It was had the wrong, MPI on it, didn't have a valid auth. I mean, we could have 1,000 things, right? It gets pulled back to that person for them to redo. But guess what? It's still coming down. Dispenses are still happening still. So it keeps stacking up. just keep stacking up. Now, what do our folks do? They say, hey, I don't want to have anything here. I want my boss to think I do a good job. So they do it very quickly and they send things down the line that are still wrong and they come back again. Now they're even more stacked up because it just keeps coming. That's where we are. Everything that turns 91 days old is at more risk of never being paid. So I take my AR dollars that are over 90 days old and I divide them by my total AR. It should be no more than 10%. And here's the reverse metric on that. If it's no more than 10%, that means that 90% of all of my dollars were paid in the first 90 days. That means I have clean claims. It means I'm billing correctly. It means that my team is getting to things, getting them paid, getting them posted quickly. But right now, the current national average is 21%. That's 21% of my overall AR is already in the danger zone, 91 and above. You can't have it because you're already understaffed. You already can't find people. So what does my staff want to do? They want to work the new stuff. The new stuff's easier to bill and collect than the old stuff. So the old gets more old. That's what the payer is hoping that you do. That you're okay leaving this on your books. I listen, and we just have to have that come to church meeting here. I talk to owners all the time, and they say, "Oh, well, we've got $1.5 million, but I think we can go get it." And I have to look at them lovingly in the eye and say, "You'll never get that money. You're delusional at this point." And I know why you're delusional, because you worked hard for that money. You dispensed that money and you took care of that patient and you deserve that money, but you're not going to get it because you had billing problems that were wrong. And then they didn't get done right. Then it got older. You're understaffed. And now you're never going to go get that money that's 365 days old. You're not. Now, do I say never? No. I mean, we collect some things that are 3, but the vast majority of it, you're not. You're going to have to write it off and join a get right program where, hey, we remember that scar and we never want to go there again. And so that's why we have to be, anytime we start to see our 90 plus AR tick up to 12, 13, 14, 15%, red flags are shooting up. Everybody needs to stop. We're understaffed. Something's wrong. We start immediately getting that metrically.
I appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to kind of continue here into the third metric that every infusion pharmacy should be tracking here. Clean claim percentage. Why do we need to track that?
Yeah, that's on that kind of couples to where we were just a second ago, right? So this is what we're talking about. I want take a slice of 60 days of your dispense activity and the revenue. And I want to know the percentage of claims that were fully paid within 60 days of dispense with no denial and no rebill. That tells me what percentage of my billing activity was clean. Now I want to measure that ongoing. Let's say that I have 63% of clean claims, excuse me. Well, next month I want 68%. The month after I want 71%, right? Now I'm tracking to say, okay, I want to see that number. Every time that number goes up, I get cash in the door more. It solves a multitude of problems to have clean claims. So if you're not tracking clean claims, you need to be tracking them, and you need to be tracking them yesterday. Measuring this allows a pharmacy to see over time the percentage that most quickly impacts cash. And what is cash, Lee?
King.
Cash is king. Okay? Cash is king. We measure it, we adjust, and we work to improve it over time. Clean claims percentage. We have to be measuring it.
Sounds great. I appreciate that. Going to move on to the fourth one here. Fourth essential KPI that Fusion Pharmacy should be tracking is unexpected denial percentage. How do we do this?
Yeah, so there's a massive problem out there among infusion pharmacies where they're just not tracking denials. Let me tell you what that's doing. Okay, you're essentially have something built into your dispensing system that allows you to code and categorize failure. And you're just saying, "Nah, we don't track it." So what you're doing is in our world, the RCM world that we're in Prochant, you're making soup. Now, once everything's in the soup and it's boiled up, I say, well, tell me about, how do we make the carrots and who it's in the soup. It's in the soup. It's gone. I can't pull it out anymore. It's all one single thing. That's what we're really trying to prevent is the soup. We've got to be able to turn that into a salad. We can have it all together. It's got to be individualized so that we can measure things. Okay. So the very first thing I want to do is talk about expected versus unexpected denials. We can't just look at overall denials. That's not helpful because we do have expected denials. We have to bill things for denial to be able to bill secondary claims. Okay, we get that. That is a measurement. So we're going to take those. So I had 100 denials. Okay, I had 65 were expected. I billed this to be able to build Medicare. That's fine. There's a million. That's great. I'm going to put those on the shelf. Now tell me about the 35. The 35 should be categorized in ways that I instantly know what we're doing wrong. So it didn't have a valid auth. It didn't, it wasn't, it was overbilled. Okay. It was, had the wrong this, had the wrong that. All of those allow me to say what percentage of my unexpected denials, Lee, what percentage is in these categories? And then I can go back to my staff. And so let's say that Lee Pratt is billing and he's got this many denials, but 70% of his denials are for wrong code. I instantly know if I grab Lee and I say, Lee, do you want to work here? And Lee says, yes, I want to work here. Great. We have to fix this problem. And so here's the training, Lee. Your codes are wrong. Going forward, you have to be able to do this, and we're going to measure it. And Lee then decides if he wants to work for us or not, because he's going to then tackle that, change it, and I'm going to watch Lee's denials crater. And then when Lee's denials crater, my clean claim goes up, then cash goes up. And Lee, what is cash?
Cash is king.
Cash is king. Correct. 100%. Every pharmacy must be tracking denials in general. Further, you have to be tracking unexpected denials as it tells you specifically both the magnitude of the problem you have. How many denials do I have? Because every time I have a denial, what are we doing? I want everybody's mind to go to the factory floor, right? It's coming all the way back. All that time was lost, right? I sent it, went, got denied because we did it wrong, and it comes all the way back to him or her who has to redo it while everything else is still being spit out because we're going to constantly do this. So not just the magnitude of the billing issues, but this is really important, the specific issues to train and resolve, like the example I shared with Lee. That's why you have to be tracking unexpected denial percentage and individually per staff member unexpected denials.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Going on to the fifth and final essential KPI that every infusion pharmacy should be tracking: payer claims analysis.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, I cheated a little with this one because it's not so much of a metric, but a combination of metrics. But a payer claim analysis is where we build out a report by a payer, and it tells us over any time period how much expected revenue do we have, how much cash have we posted, therefore we got cash net right there, and then how much credit, percent that was credited, adjustment that was credited, and then remaining balance and remaining balance percentage. And what I can see there, once I have that built out and I can run it for any time period, I can see all of my payers, overall their buckets, and what they owed me, what's been paid, what's been credited, what percentage that is, because you need both the dollar and the percentage. Because sometimes you see a dollar and you say, well, that's not that big of a deal. Then you say the percentage, you say, wait, no, it is. It is. I thought it wasn't a big deal because it was $23,000. But now I just said for that payer, we just adjusted 40. That's a small payer. We only have a couple claims. But why do we adjust 40% of all the revenue? And most likely because we billed it wrong, got underpaid, and decided just to adjust it all. Or we timely filed something. And so all of that is hidden in the soup. So you need both the dollar amount as well as the percentage amount. But as that gets dialed in and I'm looking, okay, so Aetna, I have a 90% cash to net. I have a 10% remaining balance. Nothing's been adjusted right. But United Healthcare, I have a 78% cash to net and a 22% remaining. Instantly, I know I have a problem with United Healthcare, and I know we all do, okay? But versus Aetna, where am I going to turn my focus? Again, doing these metrics allow the most expensive thing we have, other than our drugs, is our people. They're highly paid, they're highly smart, but we spend hours and hours and hours running things and looking for things when simple things like a payer claim analysis metric would tell us instantly where we should be focused. Hey, we've got to go tackle United Healthcare. It is literally 13% worse than every other payer we have. We would instantly know what to do. And so maybe we go and we see which ones are troublesome, and then they create both the reimbursement training as well as payer relation strategies, and we change those numbers. So the fifth one, Lee, is really payer claim analysis.
Sounds great. So, after reviewing these 5 essential KPIs that we should really be tracking, what does that look? What does that really look like?
All right, so that's going to look different for all of you. Some of you are running your own businesses. Some of you are running RCM for others. Some of you have, there's people on here that are our client. And so you have Prochant doing your RCM or some of your RCM, so it's going to look different because, some of these things you can get out of some dispensing systems reporting, but all of it you can't. You've got to find a way to get to a place where you have an analytics where you can see these things very quickly, you know. So for us, I'm just going to share ours. We have Prochant Pulse. We built it. Why? Because we're the largest revenue cycle provider to infusion pharmacies. We have thousands of employees. We cannot do this through reports and spreadsheets and smart sheets. You can't do it. We have to have a systematic approach. And so we built both an analytics as well as a workflow technology that allows us to do that. That's what it looks like for us, Lee. You can hit your next slide and we'll kind of walk through it. So it has two components. We have an analytics component that we give to all of our clients, get it, and they're able to see us do their work and their outcomes tracking, alerts, and drill downs. And then the connect portion, which is ours, we're doing our process tracking, our work, our queues, our work allocation. I can't say that word for some reason. And we're doing all of those things. If you look at the next one, we'll break it down a little more. When we look at KPIs, we're able to see the business key performance indicators, and we're able to filter a number of ways. And we've even provided red, yellow, green to ours. Now, some of you won't be able to do that. I get that. You don't have, our software team. But you can see what we're going for. We want our managers to know, as you see right there, that the payment rate is down. Why? It's red. It's down 1% what it was last month. We are going in the wrong direction. Our open order days or on hold days, it's good. It's up. But our DSO is stagnant. Looks like we were trying to be within a 33 and a 37, and we're stuck at a 36. We sure would like to get that to 32. That's when it'll turn green. So if we were to click on all those, we would get a lot more data, okay? The other side of that, as Lee was just clicking, is our productivity, our workflow. And so we provide this all to our clients, obviously. You've got to find a way on your own to get this view of here are all my team members, and this is what they're working versus each other. And the reality is, if Bob and Sue are doing the same job, I should be able to look at them and look at their productivity. Now, again, we build all this out to provide to our clients. You're going to have to find a way through IT. You're going to have to find a way through a vendor to go and say, hey, if I'm going to really tackle this and I'm going to not leave, and because if you're leaving 9% of your revenue or cash to net revenue, cash on the table, I mean, for some folks, that's millions. I just told you, just 4 days ago, told an owner, you've lost 1.3 million. You need to write it off. Those are the numbers we're dealing with. And if you're in that position now, you've got to get to a place where you never go back again. You never go back again. And I think we're always, worried about doing that and worried about, creating that scar. I understand. The one good thing about scars is, one, that they heal. Two, they remind us not to do that again, right? And that's what that write-off reminds you of. You've got to. So what are we going to do differently with our analytics, our metrics, our reporting, so that we make sure we're not next year writing off $900,000 again? So again, finishing up here in the last 4 minutes, we got a couple questions I know that have already come in. I saw it, Lee. But keeping the main thing, let me just pause that, as we only got 5-6 minutes here. If you have a question, go ahead and type it in. We'll answer it as we go. We already have a couple. Keeping the main thing, that's cash in hand. Our pharmacy division is growing at a rate of 100% year over year because of that. It is going to be harder tomorrow for you to get paid in major medical infusion billing than it was today, and it'll be harder the next day than it will be tomorrow. That's the payer strategy. You have to have your own strategy.
Thanks for sharing that, John. I'm going to move here to, kind of a little bit more on Prochant here. With over 200 years of infusion pharmacy management and American expertise, just across our global directors and intake directors, billing managers, and intake managers, kind of all across the board, 200 years of infusion pharmacy management. With Prochant, a lot of people kind of stress out about, giving away that power with their revenue cycle, which is totally understandable. But with Prochant, we're able to supplement your team without giving that power away, while providing top-notch infusion reimbursement. And as you kind of touched on earlier, costing less, saving some money than what you could probably hire people in your area for, and being able to just scale with you, whether you're, looking to grow, taking on more payers, new drugs, et cetera, able to scale with you there. And just, providing, as John walked through, providing better technology to see results. Kind of want to just close this out here with some questions. I know John kind of touched on, had a couple come through, so I'll answer one now. And if we see any others that come across, John, somebody reached out and said, can we get your technology?
No, we provide our technology to our clients. So yeah, so if you have any type of engagement, and that means, hey, we need a couple FTEs to help us supplement our team, or it means, hey, we need to outsource a payer that's driving us crazy, then we provide that. But yeah, we don't really sell our software. We just give it away to our clients.
Sounds good. Let me see here. Another great question. Does the system matter for these? Does any system able to get these?
Well, I mean, from a metric standpoint, I would think any system would, right? But I'll talk about, you should be able to get them out of CPR Plus, Keratin, We Infuse, Inovalon, and Brightree, which are our big five that we work in. So if one of those is yours, then you should be able to get these metrics out of that in a meaningful way and measure them going forward.
I appreciate that. And then one more here. What would you do to talk to IT teams about these metrics if you don't already have them?
That's a good question, because IT teams are like, oh, I don't know, you have reporting, right? I think that's a hard question. You're gonna have to go and say, guys, I'm not looking for basic numbers. You're gonna have to say, you're gonna have to write reports for me, or you're gonna have to be open for me to get a vendor or consultant in here to be able to take this data and turn it into these metrics. So if an IT team is like, just run a report, that's not going to work a lot of the time. So you certainly are going to have to go to bat and say, listen, I need investigative metrics, not just, again, I did $12 million of business. I don't know. Is that good? Is that bad? I need to know where those trends are as they come up.
Awesome. No, I really appreciate that information. Want to just, thank everybody for coming today. If there's any others, I can stick around and maybe have some answers. John, thank you for all the information, and hope everybody has a great day. Feel free
Yeah,
to.
and as everybody leaves, just, if you need us at Prochant, or you want to have a conversation, reach out to Lee. Let's talk. Maybe we get together at NICA, NHIA, SMBA, any of those things. Love to do that. But anything you guys need, we'll be there for you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Lee.